Ladies and gentlemen, The Absurdity of Philosophy by Jeff Smith DeLuc. Let's get a definition down. I thought Azrienoch was a pretty cool guy. He had that Atheist Paradise book up. So many of us in the early days of YouTube got together on atheism, didn't we? Now, I have here Oxford Compact English Dictionary, the definition of a book, a written or printed work consisting of pages glued or sewn together. A main division of a literary work or of the Bible, like Book 1, Book 2 of Aristotle's blah blah blah. Technically, Azrienoch's book is a book. But I have a slightly more specific definition in mind. A memoir is a historical account or biography written from personal knowledge, or an account written by a public figure of their life and experiences. And a memoir is a subset of book. I want to make the distinction because some people might think that a book is an integrated whole, that it has some subject to which it speaks, some ideas which it puts down about that subject, and something that the author wants to communicate about the subject and those ideas, and wants to get over to the viewer, or the listener, or the reader. Now, it is not the case that Azrienoch's book is an integrated whole. And with a title like The Absurdity of Philosophy, you wouldn't expect it to be. I will spare you the opening pages. Now, I say it's a memoir because it is specifically from Azrienoch's deluded viewpoint. On page 6, halfway down, he says, however, and we come in the middle of a thought, but it's not much of a thought, so that's fine. He says, however, I think in this unreasonable day and postmodern age of absurdity, where our values center on consumerism instead of the struggles for and against tradition, we are once again left feeling that there is no stability in intellectual endeavors. Now, he's speaking for himself and a few other people. He says, quote, continuing, no reason to push forward in the abstracts of human lives. Camus's words strike a chord once more. Our awareness of absurdia, the absurd, is not mistaken. Our awareness of philosophical absurdity is not misguided, but mistreated. So we're on the right path when we start to believe that everything's absurd and we're not sure if there's any reason for anything. It's interesting for someone to say, we suspect there's no reason for anything, and we're pretty sure we're on the right path to explaining it. What? That's a direct contradiction, but they don't care. Now, this is like Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil and several other books that are just sections. This last section was 3 paragraphs long. The next one's, and again, 3 paragraphs. Then there's a 1-paragraph section. They're just numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not an integrated, coherent whole. That's why we say it's not a book, it's a memoir. But continuing. The first widely influential metaphysic of Western philosophy was Plato's allegory of the cave. Then he explains that. So we skip that. The imperfect things of the world are projections of the perfect form. All of the dogs of the world, for example, are imperfect manifestations of the idea of dog. This relationship between the thing attempting to transcend, this relationship between the thing attempting to transcend, what's attempting to transcend, and what it attempts to transcend is what kind of relationship? So the thing attempting to transcend is what? The idea of dog, and the thing which does transcend, which is the dog, or is it vice versa? What does he mean by transcend? This is a relationship. What kind of relationship? A transcendental relationship. Good. Now, you can't explain something by repeating yourself and talking in circles. Something Azrienoch does not yet appreciate. Nor can you explain yourself by quoting other idiots who have also not talked about anything real. Transcendental. So we've got 3 here. We've got transcend, transcendent, and transcendental. Then there's transcendentalism. So let's look at transcend. Transcend, verb, to be or to go beyond the range or the limits of, to be superior to surpass. Okay, alright, let's try to keep that in our mind. Transcendent, an adjective. Transcending normal or physical human experience. Of God. Existing apart from, not subject to the limitations of the material universe. So, supernatural? Unnatural, maybe? Unreal? Arbitrary? Fantasy? Okay, those are some other meanings we could get. The transcendental. Relating to a spiritual realm. Relating to or denoting transcendentalism. Transcendentalism. Noun. A 19th century idealistic philosophical and social movement which taught that divinity pervades all nature and humanity. It is appropriate that atheists are talking about transcendentalism, and they are at the same time postmodernists. There's no other way they could put that together. Transcendent and transcendental. Fine, we have a bit of idea on what that is. Now he says again, this relationship between the thing attempting to transcend, the thing attempting to go beyond, outside of, become more than, leave reality, or go someplace else in reality that's less real or more real, or whatever the meaning is. Transcend, we saw how elusive its definition is. The relationship between the thing attempting to transcend and what it attempts to transcend is a transcendental relationship. We're not going to spend any more time on that stupid sentence. He's going to do that again, though, in the future. Talk in circles and say nothing. Ends the paragraph, on to the next subject. I do not think it is a coincidence that philosophers had turned their attention to language to find explanations for how we think, how we know, and how we interact with one another. Correction. Philosophers have not. Linguistic analysts and postmodernists have trained their attention on words coming out of our mouths. They have averted their gaze from reality. They don't even look at humans. They don't look at ideas. They don't look at the connections of the ideas to reality. They just look at the words coming out of your mouth. It's really not even that meaningful. Is it a coincidence that throughout the history of philosophy we have described objects and how we know and understand them using transcendental relationships? Now, what does it mean to explain or describe something using a transcendental relationship, if transcendental has anything at all to do with Oxford Compact English Dictionary's definition? If transcendental in any way means going beyond everything that's real, or going into a realm of the unreal or the supernatural or the non-real, what does it mean to describe objects and how we know and understand them using relationships of transcendental nature? What does that mean? What could it mean? It can't mean anything. We know that because you can't concretize transcendental. It's a magic word. You see, it's an imaginary word like gremlin or God or tooth fairy or Santa Claus that you throw in there, and if someone gets really picky and says, what do you mean? Everybody knows what we mean, the guy with the red hat and the, you know. How we know and understand them using transcendental relationships, and at the same time, language appears to work by transcendental relationships as well. Let's remember, he started asking the question, is it a coincidence that throughout the history of philosophy, let's give a bit, language appears to work by transcendental relationships? Is that a coincidence that language works by transcendental relationships? Okay? Okay? We're on page 8, and he's way, way, way outside of anything real, which means he's outside of anything useful. But continuing, a word and its meaning form a transcendental relationship. Pause. Wrong. A word and its meaning form a concept. The word, which is just the physical manifestation that comes out of our mouth that helps us communicate, and the meaning of the word, which is the things it denotes in reality, does not go